Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Chill Builds. So we're back. I do want to say, just because I'm thinking of it just now, that I have recorded these episodes sort of in bulk, so I literally just got done doing the voiceover for the second episode. So if you've commented and I haven't addressed it in the video or something like that, just know that that's why. When I do the next batch after some of these videos have come out, I will address some of those comments or whatnot. And yeah, I encourage you to comment and tell me what you think about certain things. Tell me what you want to see in the build, stuff like that. You know, if you want to see a tavern or a market or different ideas for what you want to see in the build. I can't promise I'll do them, but I'd still love to hear it. So we start this one off where we finished last time with the water. So you see I got the waterfall all set up, but then I was fiddling around because obviously you can't have grass in the river. That doesn't make any sense. So we had to fill it with stone and then texture it out. I was messing with commands there to try and figure out the replace commands so that I could just replace things with grass. So a lot of the stone paths and stuff that I've been texturing it with gravel, andesite, and cobblestone. But for this one, I feel like there was a third one. Gravel, andesite, cobblestone. No, that was it. That's definitely it. Anyways, but for this, I actually just used cobblestone, and eventually I throw some mossy cobblestone in there too. Because it is in the water and stuff. And I do plan to eventually come back and put like seaweed and maybe some drip leaves and other aquatic life in there. But anyways, I added this little outcropping into the river there just because it looked funny with all that water in that corner there. It just didn't feel right. So I put that there. I wanted to make it stone, but then I was looking at it, and there's no building I could put there. It's just a big empty space, and I didn't like that. So eventually I end up switching it to grass, which we'll see eventually, but there's me putting in all that mossy cobblestone off in the distance there. And then here we go. This is where I start with the grass. So then I'll put a couple of trees, homemade trees in there, just to make it look nice and make it look like it's still the forest that it once was before I started building in it. So yeah. Oh, that's right. And I went and I fleshed out the path here so that it fits into the bridge because that felt a bit weird as well. So that makes a little more sense. It is still kind of at a weird angle. I kind of wish I had built the bridge a little bit higher up so that I could keep that ground flat, but then it would have looked funny on the other side. So it was sort of a lose-lose situation, but I think I made it look pretty good, right? It looks good just going down into the bridge, and then you go off to the other side from the smithy. So that would probably be the bridge that the smith uses to haul all his stuff across. Maybe that's why the smithy's right there, or maybe that's why the bridge is right there. But that would be the easier way to go across the river and then up to the castle is probably that way instead of hauling it up that way and then going. Although, to be honest, I think either way works. I think they're both probably just as valid. But anyway, so we got some custom trees in. I think they look pretty good. I tried to match the trees that were built, that you can see all out in that forest and stuff to match the sort of vibe. I don't want to go too overly complex with the build. I just want to make it look nice. You know what I mean? There's definitely a point that I feel like a lot of people, a lot of very talented builders sometimes overdo things a little bit with their textures. And texturing. That's a big problem I have with Windcraft is I feel like I have a sensory overload with all the textures and stuff, and it's hard to figure out what is what when you have so many different blocks just sprinkled all over the place. But yeah, so here you see I'm setting the forest on fire again to make some more room. I'm going to terraform and sort of lay out a little bit more of the village right here. And then if you notice, the smithy has not caught on fire this time, and that's because I switched the fire inside of the furnace, the furnace with campfires rather than netherrack that's been lit on fire. So that's how that has been prevented. You're going to see a lot of forest burning in this series, because if you look out into that valley there, all of those trees, I plan to build all over that place, and so all of those trees have to go eventually. But yeah, so it is definitely a process to like get rid of all of this wood that the fire doesn't burn, but it's a lot easier than getting rid of all of the trees together. And then obviously I kind of want to put out the fire of the trees that's left after I turn fire tick off, because when I turn it back on again, I don't want it to immediately just start spreading again. I want to be able to control where it goes, in case I've maybe put a building close to that or something later on. But then we go back to here. So when we built the smithy, we kind of obviously built it out into an overhang here. So we're just building a similar sort of wall bit to like where we did with the river and that pathway. And then we're going to build a staircase down because, you know, people have to have a way down. So right now we have two sort of parallel paths, as this one's a bit more convoluted than the one on the right, but they're going to go to either side of the river. And then this one's going to spread out into a little bit more of a city, whereas the other one is just going to have the path following along the river with some buildings on the other side of the path from the river. This one is going to have a few different streets and stuff going in between the houses. So this side is definitely going to be the one with more city in it. And then I do need to build another bridge. I still haven't done that yet, lower down in the river, that you'll see me eventually terraform. I'm not sure if that's in this episode or not, though. So yeah. So I did really struggle with figuring out these staircases because there's no good way to build that sort of anvil thing down the staircase. But I think what I settled on looks pretty good. Oh my goodness, that music just scared me so bad. Speaking of music, I really like the music that I've chosen. If you check the description, it's actually got the credits for all the music I've used in this video, along with a few others, just because I have a list of all the music I want to use in the series, and I'm just going to copy and paste the whole list of credits in the comments, so that I don't have to, or in the description, so that I don't have to worry about looking through and posting the right ones. But they're royalty free, so long as you post those credits somewhere in the description or on the video. So for this, I'm just doing the description because it is easier. And I just want this series to be just super chill, you know, just something you put on. Maybe you want to binge it one day while you do your own creative building. You just hop into Minecraft, pop this on your second monitor or your cell phone, and watch me build and have some ambient noise while you build or do whatever. So that's kind of the goal of this whole series, and then you can get some insight into the build as well. So yeah, so this is me sort of terraforming where I want the river to go, and like I said in a previous episode, there is no world edit, so I got to do everything by hand. But you know what? That's okay. I think so far, out of all the cities built on the server, there's some really great cities, but I think mine is the one that's been terraformed the most. It's got the most depth in it when it comes to up and down. The rest are sort of flat and on the ground. If you can see, like, I don't know, maybe I'll do a server tour of all the other cities that other people have built on the server, but Yom, I think, it's the desert city that you see in the intro. That one, I think, is probably the only other one that really has buildings go up a mountain other than mine, and even then it's not that much up a mountain. It's just up right against a little desert mountain with a little spring. It's a nice little desert oasis. It's a wonderful town. They've definitely been working on that town a lot longer than mine, and the intro does not do any of these cities that have been built on this server any justice, because you can only see one clip of them. But you know, and then there's also St. Augustine, which is a sort of swampy marsh city, and while the base of the city is like right at water level, the buildings definitely have different levels. There's different heights to some of the buildings. Some of them are taller, some of them are shorter and smaller. That one's probably one of the bigger cities. That one and the city called Lesser Tiber. And then Lesser Tiber it's not flat. It goes up and down, but it goes up and down at a very slight slope. What? It goes up and down on a slight slope because it's right next to a river, and then it sort of goes up some hills. From what I remember, I'd have to go look exactly how up and down it goes. But fun fact, part of the Cake Saga was filmed in the Lesser Tiber city. And then some of it is also built in just a little set that we've actually built on this same server. That maybe I'll go back to not as the Cake Saga, but just another chill build project later on. But I'm really enjoying Dragon Hearth right now, so we're going to stick with that for now. But who knows? Who knows? If this series gets well received, maybe I'll do a second one of a different city or something. So I would like to go on once I finish Dragon Hearth, go start another city somewhere else. The server's very big, and there's a lot of places that are open for cities to be built right now, and I would love to build some more and have some unique builds and flesh out the lore of this map, because it's genuinely really cool. If you saw all those maps that went by at the beginning, there's actually a 40,000 by 40,000 pixel map that I made. Those are just cropped in bits of the map. That's got everything, and it's honestly incredible. I think it's super cool, and I'd like to see that map filled out more as time goes by. So yeah. So anyways, this is some terraforming. Like I said, so the path sort of goes along with the river, and then I'll put some buildings up against the mountain, sort of into the mountain on the other side. And then to the right of the river, as we see it right now, that's going to have a few more buildings and a little bit more city to it rather than river. But I do want everything to be really dense, so the buildings down in this area are going to be really close together. Some of them are even going to be as close as 1 block apart when you hit the roof, when you go to the roof part, whereas they're probably going to be closer to 3 or 4 blocks apart down at the floor level. So this looks like this is another replay mod glitch where it froze time. But anyways, here's this bit. This is me filling the river with water. It's just fun to watch water flow down, and instead of just letting it flow down, obviously I had to kind of fill it out a bit more than it was. But yeah, and the thing about this shader that I'm using is it's really weird. It's got this like greenish tinge to the water, and I don't know how I feel about it, but it's really weird. But I think overall the shader looks good, and this is the shader that everyone else who builds on the server uses. So, you know, if I make something that looks good in this shader, I know it's going to look good to everybody else, because that's what they use to play the game. So yeah. So I just widened out the river there a little bit, just because it wasn't quite deep or wide enough. And then I actually brought the grass up a little bit as well. Oh, but I have not done that yet. I did bring the grass up a little bit in that large plain area. But I start with this, and this is kind of like an inn place, and I really struggled with this because I really want all these buildings to be like unique and different in some sort of way. And that can be difficult when you're trying to keep the same architecture style. But I think I did okay with this. It ended up being sort of like an inn, so there's lots of like balconies coming out. There's 2 different levels to the roof, so the part sticking out coming towards me, that bit is just going to be 1 floor, whereas you see I'm building up the frame a little higher in the back there, and I messed up where the frame is. I kept getting confused about where the frame needs to be to taper out, and see, so I do it again and then watch. I'm pretty sure I realized, yep, that I did it wrong again, and that it needs to taper out a little bit more again. There we go. So just like that, and then I got it all tapered out properly, and then I start looking around trying to decide I with the foundations, I'm trying to go back and forth between cobblestone and stone brick. I think they're both equally as visually appealing when you do them right. I've lost my train of thought. This one's a long one. At this point in time, usually the last 2 episodes were done, but this one I'm still going, and I think I still have a couple more buildings in this episode to go too. So this one's quite long. But anyway, so I start with the first roof, and I think I get this mostly sorted out before I move on to the next bit of roof. But yeah, so and this is where I started sort of accepting the simplicity a little more, adding some texture and stuff. But like, I'm trying to learn to not overthink things too much. So I started with this, and then I actually end up making it a balcony. But like, I think I changed my mind. I'm trying to remember. I guess we'll find out right now. Yeah, that's right. I did. I changed my mind, and I went with just a simple window. Which was pretty easy, and it doesn't have to be the most amazing thing, not every single build has to be, awe-inspiring. So this one, I moved the wall back into it a bit again, and then started playing with balcony ideas, and I ended up with what I think is a pretty cool little balcony idea. So maybe this is an inn, and each section of wood is a little room that's got its own balcony that they can look out on, or maybe it's just someone who's really rich and likes to go out and look out onto the world. I don't know, but yeah, I I still had water from when I was filling up the river, and I actually switched to water instead of the stairs there. So that's what happened there. So yeah, but there you go. So there's your balconies. And then I believe I build a bit of a taller roof on this one that sort of goes in and combines with the first one. I did not bother with balconies. Oh, maybe I did. I might have. I don't think I bothered to do too much detail on the back end there because no one's going to see it anyways. And even if they did, that balcony would look out on a mountain that's right in front of it, so there's really no point. And then this very far back end, I definitely did not spend a lot of time detailing. There is no, like you can see, I still haven't broken any holes in the back to make a balcony in, so I think it's just a wall back there, and later on I'll actually go back through, and you can't see an up-close look, but I do have a time-lapse of me adding them all. I do go back and add some chimneys because something's really missing from all these roofs, except for the smithies, and that's chimneys, with some fireplaces. This is a very cold place, and it needs warming. People need to be able to warm themselves in the nighttime. So I think this town is going to have a lot of exports in it for lore. I think it's going to be a lumber town as well as a mining town, and I was thinking about making it known for its sort of cartography as well. So it's very prestigious in the way that it makes its maps and keeps track of things, because it is a very funny part of the world right here. With a funky shaped town, so all the other towns sort of have room to sort of spread out wherever they want, whereas this one's sort of limited by mountains, and it can be a bit hard to navigate mountains a lot of times. So maps are really important in following and in getting where you need to go when the terrain is difficult to navigate. So I'm thinking they might be a map town, but they're definitely going to have some sort of mine and some sort of lumber camp as well further down the line. They're definitely going to have a lumber mill, stuff like that. It's going to be, it's good. I'm really excited to build those. I haven't built those yet. But if you have any ideas of other sort of what I'm going to call, air quotes, landmark builds, or builds that sort of stand out. They're not a house. They're not just the same architecture. They're a lot like the smithy, where they look different and they're meant for a different purpose than just being a building, which should be all of them. But, we can repurpose. Like I said, I might go on stream and do the interiors, just because inside Inside buildings, it's very difficult to get the replay mod to film in a way that really works. So yeah. So this building is an interesting one because I wanted this to be a building that sort of looked like people were getting a bit frustrated with trying to make flat floors, digging out enough dirt to make a flat floor. So what they ended up doing was basically building up like a stand and then building the floor at the top. So right where that wood is where the first floor is, and then down below that is actually like an overhang of the mountain, and then a little bit of a foundation as well. And I thought it was pretty interesting, and we'll see it in a second. But first I started to try and figure out how to get the walls to look good and unique, because at this point I was really starting to struggle with trying to keep things unique while also looking good. And I think the V's looked okay, but at the end I actually added a bit of some circles in there, or something that looked more like circles, and just added onto the V. And I think I like the way the walls turned out on this one. I think they looked interesting and unique without being too out there and too over complex, which is definitely something I'm concerned about. Is I don't want things to look too complex. I want them to look like they have depth and personality, but I don't want them to look like somebody just sprinkled different textures all over the building, you know. So that's what I did here. So obviously still got to do some texturing, just not too much. And it's definitely got a lot of depth. And then this is where I tried to figure out the roof. And then this roof was actually like an X shape. So there's actually a face on all four sides to the roof. So it looks different. So all the roof shapes, I'm trying to keep the roof shapes a bit different from each other as well. Because if I keep them all the same, again, you know, looking down at the village, it's gonna look just like a big oak or a spruce, a big spruce blob, you know, on a map or something. And I wanted there to be a bit more depth so you could see sort of the roofs bending and such. So yeah, and the roofs on these buildings are going to be transferred over into like a poorer district, but the lower floors are going to be a lot different, and I'm really excited about that architecture that I haven't started either. I've just done architecture like this, and it looks good. It looks good. Oh, I guess I didn't do a T shape here, or an X shape. I did a T shape. Interesting. Okay. I guess I forgot how I did this. But that's okay, because I'm watching it now. That's the problem with recording it all in bulk, is you kind of forget what you were thinking at the time. But I'm remembering. I'm remembering slowly. So you see those little circles down there? So I was talking about, I like that. I like that wall texture. And then I don't know what I'm doing here. I lost track of my own self in replay mod, it appears. But we're about to get to a new clip here that should show where I was. Also, there's some cows in the background. Apparently that's the native wildlife of Dragon Hearth, is cows. So here I tried to do more circles, but I really didn't. Right now, looking at it, I actually like it a lot more. But at the time, I really did not like that. So I went back to the simplicity thing. You know, I figured, you know, it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. It can just be a little simple thing like that. And I actually really like that. I like that a lot better than what I just had, by a long shot, actually. I like the spruce. I like all of it. So, the spruce leaves, I mean. I will say that I did start to get tired of the spruce leaves. I did this one wrong, by the way. It wasn't symmetrical to the other ones, but I do go back and fix that later, off camera, I believe. But anyways, I had a lot of trouble at those spruce leaves. I think I got really tired of them. Later on, off camera, some of the leaves in the town, I actually switch out for the azalea leaves, just because they have these nice purpley flowers, and I try to do some flowers in there as well. So then this is the last build. We're actually almost done, but we needed to add one more build to our collection before we called it. So this one, I just needed to cram something in there because everything was so tight. I want something to be tightly packed in here. And somebody pointed out later that this building has no door, but I think I've forgotten the doors in a few. But that's one of those things, like, there's a lot of small things that I could go back through and do on stream that in a time lapse would take like a split second and wouldn't be worth doing. So either I'll do those just off camera, or I'll do them on a stream or something. I don't know. I do want to stream a little bit of building of Dragon Hearth. So yeah, that might be a thing to consider in the future. Now that I have my microphone on or back and I can stream and stuff. So yeah. Anyways, so I did actually skip the andesite and not andesite. My gosh, diorite and stuff on that second floor here, and went with all wood. But I do go back and change that because it gave it a bit more of a cheaper feel to me to do wood on the second floor. So I figured, like, this is supposed to be the richer district. Even the smaller buildings have to have a lot of they have to feel fancy, and that wood just didn't feel fancy to me. So I went back and changed it, but that is a architecture style I will go back to in some of the poorer houses. But yeah, so this one is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I liked it. Again, simplicity works. I put some buttons up there just to add a little extra texture, and then bam, there you go. There's our building. Oh yeah, I used dark oak trapdoors, which I think I've used in a couple other builds already, just to add a variety of the wood types again, just a little bit, just because there's just a little bit too much spruce, and that's something that's bothering me, and I'm trying to find a way to get new stuff to fit there. But there you go. That's the end of episode 3. I'm starting to lose my voice. I've recorded the first 3 episodes of all of these voiceovers all together as one. So it's been a lot of talking for the last 2 hours or however long it's taken me. So this one was 30 minutes and then 20. So I'll let you do the math. Just go look at the times of the videos and figure it out. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next chill build.